The man's scream echoed through the forum, slicing through the morning air like a blade. People turned, slowly, carefully, because no one in Rome reacted fast when punishment was involved. Fast reactions were dangerous. Fast reactions meant attention. And in Rome, attention killed. Two soldiers dragged a prisoner across the marble floor. His body was shaking, his eyes swollen, his voice broken. The chains around his wrists clinked like death bells. No one knew his crime. No one needed to. Because when Rome punished someone, the crime was never the terrifying part. The punishment was. The soldiers pulled him toward a wooden device stained with dried blood. A device the crowd pretended not to recognize. But every Roman did. A device used only for one purpose: to break a human being, slowly, painfully, while the city watched. As the soldiers strapped him in, the executioner turned to the crowd and smiled. Cut to black. Music stops. Silence. This was Rome. And Rome never killed quickly. Rome killed intentionally. The side of Rome. They never taught you when we imagine Rome. We picture gladiators, emperors, marble temples, golden crowns. But Rome's true power didn't come from armies or architecture. It came from fear. Fear crafted through punishments so brutal, so creatively inhuman, that even the worst criminals begged for death long before it arrived. Today we're stepping into the shadows. Not the history they teach, but the history they hide. Stay till the end, because the final punishment is so horrific Rome documented it once, and then tried to destroy every record of it. But history remembers. And tonight, so will you. Damnatio ad bestias. Execution by beasts. The Colosseum wasn't just an entertainment arena. It was an execution machine. Condemned prisoners were thrown into the arena with starving lions, wolves, panthers, sometimes even trained bears whose only job was to tear humans apart on command. But that's the version you already know. Here's the version they don't tell you. Sometimes the beast wasn't an animal. It was a human. Rome would take gladiators trained specifically to toy with the prisoner. They didn't kill immediately. They didn't kill cleanly. They dragged it out, breaking bones, slicing skin, humiliating them, letting the prisoner run until exhaustion collapsed them. Only then did the final blow come, and the crowd screamed for more. Rome didn't kill criminals to punish them. Rome killed them to entertain itself. Crucifixion. The torture that lasted days. Rome didn't invent crucifixion, but it perfected it. Crucifixion wasn't about death. It was about the delay before death. Bodies twisted, muscles locked. Breathing became slow drowning. Crows ate the living. Soldiers used prisoners for target practice. Some crucifixions lasted 3 full days. One record states a man begged for water, so a soldier offered him vinegar instead, laughing as the prisoner choked. Another account describes soldiers breaking legs to prevent escape. Not to kill faster, to kill slower. And the worst part, crucifixion was so common, Romans walked past it like street decoration. Parricide punishment, the sack of horrors. If a man killed his own father or mother, Rome believed he committed a crime against nature, and Rome's punishment reflected that. The criminal was sewn inside a leather sack with a wild dog, a monkey, a snake, and a rooster. Then the sack was thrown into a river. Imagine it: pitch darkness, suffocation, animals panicking, biting, tearing, clawing each other, and him as the water filled the sack. This wasn't execution. This was psychological destruction engineered by a civilization that understood fear better than any empire before or after. The poena cullae that went wrong. There's a case historians rarely talk about. One parricide criminal survived the river. The sack washed ashore. He crawled out, half dead, bleeding, animal bitten. Rome captured him again and executed him, using the same punishment. Because to Rome, survival wasn't a miracle. It was defiance, and defiance demanded repetition. Burning alive. The silent fire. Burning alive wasn't Rome's favorite method, not because it was cruel. Cruelty never bothered Romans, but because it was inefficient. Still, when Rome used fire, it used it artistically. Executioners didn't throw prisoners into flames. They lit small fires under metal plates the prisoner was tied to. The metal heated slowly, skin blistered, sweat evaporated, nerves screamed until they died. This could take hours. One prisoner, a rebel leader, refused to scream, so the executioners lit a second fire. When he still refused, they lit a third. Only after his skin fused to the metal did he finally break. Rome counted that as a victory. The chair of agony. This punishment was used for traitors and spies. A bronze chair, simple, elegant, polished, placed over a slow fire. The victim was strapped naked onto it. The metal turned red. Skin melted. Flesh stuck to the chair. The body cooked from below while the victim remained alive far longer than medicine can explain. Romans gathered to watch. Some ate lunch. This wasn't barbarism. This was spectacle. A message: betray Rome, and Rome will erase you piece by piece. Sawing the body in half, the punishment Rome tried to hide. Now we enter territory Rome didn't want recorded. Sawing. The victim was hung upside down, perfectly vertical, so that the blood rushed to the brain, keeping them conscious longer than humanly possible. Then two executioners took a long wooden saw and began cutting, from the groin, downward. Slow, deliberate strokes, no rush, no mercy. The victim remained conscious until the saw reached the abdomen, which could take minutes or hours, depending on the executioner's skill. Rome never admitted this publicly, but ancient writers whispered about it, and archaeological evidence suggests it happened more than we want to imagine. Scaphism, the most horrifying punishment Rome ever copied. This wasn't Roman originally, it was Persian, but Rome, fascinated by cruelty, adopted a variation. The prisoner was placed between two wooden boats with only the head, hands, and feet sticking out. They force-fed him milk and honey until diarrhea started. Then they smeared honey on his exposed skin. Insects came: flies, ants, wasps. They nested inside the wounds, inside the mouth, inside the eyes. The victim floated on a lake for days, being eaten alive, inside out, until infection, madness, dehydration, and insects killed him. This punishment lasted up to 17 days. Rome didn't use it often, but the fact that it used it at all tells you everything about this empire. The final punishment history tried to erase this one is almost unbelievable. A criminal was stripped naked, tied to the ground, and left in the open sun, not for dehydration. That was too slow. Rome sent soldiers to cut tiny slits across his skin. Hundreds, not deep, just enough for blood to rise. Then they released mosquitoes. Thousands. The victim didn't die from blood loss. He died from shock as his body shut down from the overwhelming pain of hundreds of simultaneous stings. This method was never recorded officially, but one Roman writer mentioned it once before the text abruptly ended. Historians believe Rome destroyed the rest. Why Rome was obsessed with suffering? Here's the truth. Rome didn't torture because criminals deserved it. Rome tortured because the crowd demanded it. Pain was entertainment, fear was power, and public suffering kept the empire obedient. Rome didn't last because it was strong. Rome lasted because its people were terrified of what happened to those who resisted. And that fear was Rome's most effective weapon. Dark, cinematic, hooked till end. If you think these punishments were brutal, you haven't seen anything yet, because next time, we're diving into the emperors themselves, the twisted minds who created these horrors, and the punishments they faced when Rome finally turned on them. Subscribe now, because the story only gets darker from here, and Rome has more secrets than you can imagine.